RPGers out there.
Good luck.
Awesome. Hello, RPGers out there. This is Toad, and I have co-commentating and helping me a lot with commentary today, Yogi the Monk.
Hello, hello.
And we're going to be running Ultima 3 Exodus on the NES. It's an incredibly manipulated run, thanks to Yogi, who routed the crap out of this game. We're gonna, for the first part of the game, I'm actually going to be completely silent because I need a couple of audio cues that are frame-based, that Yogi will go into further explanation when we get there. And, well, I'm pretty much ready to go whenever, so I'm going to go silent. You just let me know.
Each time he casts it, now he's spinning around to regain his mana. He wants to get up to pretty much back up to full mana, which is 25 on the wizards. Notice that the Toad the Ranger only has 12 mana, and he can't cast Ascend because he doesn't have enough mana for it. And he's gonna need to hit an audio cue here and try to land next to the Mark of the Fire, and looks like he was a few frames late there, so he might try to just walk to the Mark of the Fire or just try again. It's fine. This is actually way faster than the old ways of doing this route. This Cave of Fire is pretty precise, and like all of the precision of this run is at the very start, is in the very first 2 minutes of the run, and he has to hit a 5-frame window basically. So how it works is the floors here in the Cave of Fire, see now he's on level 5, now he's on level 6, then he's on level 7. Each floor has 256 tiles which you could possibly land on with your descend spell. Now some of those tiles are walls, and if you land on a wall, it'll eject you to the right into the first open space. So what he's doing is he's trying to land right next to the mark that he needs, because the enemies in this dungeon are incredibly dangerous, and we can't fight them at level 1 like this, but But even as such, this way is way faster than the old ways of doing this, which involved getting the rot spell, which takes a lot of gold grinding and such. So here he landed a few frames outside of the Mark of Fire, and he's gonna ascend back up to floor 7, and then try to hit another audio cue to go back down to floor 8. And oh nice, he lands right in the force room there, so that was really good. He's got both of the mark. Mark of the Fire and the Mark of Force on all 4 party members. That's crucial for the end game because we're gonna have to be walking through lava and force fields, and he'll probably try to go for the ladder here. And great, he got to the ladder. This ladder here is great because you can climb it all the way to floor 5 without spending any mana at all. Otherwise, you would have to just cast Ascend with the wizards, and each time you cast Ascend, it costs 20 mana. And each time you want 20 mana, you have to spin around about 80 times or so. Like if you do 80 spins, see you spinning now. 80 spins gives all 3 wizards 20 mana, and that lets you go up 3 more floors for free. Spinning doesn't engage any encounters, so he's perfectly safe from the encounters in this cave. And again, these encounters in this cave are very dangerous. So he's gonna get out of the Cave of Fire here, and that's the most scary part of the run. This run is very different than the Ultima 4 run you just watched. It's very technical, and looks like he gets a 7-pack of goblins here. Now the difference between goblins and orcs, which give you 3 experience, and undead, which consist of skeletons and ghouls, those are the ones you want, and those give you 4 experience. But basically there's this chart made by Nanogith, and if you just look at the chart and use some algebra along the way, so every time an enemy survives, you kind of have to plug it into the equation 2x plus 1 and then subtract from the current count. There's a lot of math going on right here, and you try to use that math to try to get 8 packs of enemies so that you can get as much experience as possible with each battle. And looks like we got a couple 7-packs. Hey, Toad's here.
Hey, I'm back.
Through the Cave of Fire. Not too many problems. It's pretty tough to get it in one try.
It really is.
A little unlucky here. We got 2 packs of goblins already.
4. Yes.
You really want those undead packs to minimize the number of encounters. And here we go. Now we're on track. A nice, juicy 8-pack of ghouls.
8-pack of undead. Best pack of undead.
And look at them dance, man. Look at them go, man. They got a little groove going on there.
Don't even have to move. They do. They groove hard this game.
The text box in the top left when he's on the world map, those are the moons. Basically, it's the same as Ultima 4, which we just watched, and the left moon is where you are, and the right moon is where you're going.
Get some nice
they're used for some other manipulation as well, to get single pirates, but that was a nice 1 cycle of those. Even though it was goblins, it was a 1 cycle. Very fast.
Yeah, the 1
cycle. Toad is on a roll here.
Loud, yeah.
Getting all these 8-pack.
Fortunately. Yeah, that's fine.
All of the 8-packs. We're trying to get 400 experience all onto the Ranger. The Wizards will stay level 1 throughout the run, and the Ranger needs to hit level 5. You need 1 person to be level 5 so that pirate ships will start spawning in the world, because we need that to get to Ambrosia. And another nice 8-pack of undead. Are you gonna bot me in this run, Toad?
Now that start.
I'm getting worried about these undead.
Well,
I mean, we can retime it.
That's fair. No, but I'm also getting like nice fights as well, which is a big bonus.
Yeah, so again, he's looking at this chart that Nanogith made, and Nanogith was involved a lot with the tasks of this game, and that guy just knows basically everything about the underlying code in this game, and I wouldn't have been able to figure any of this out without him, and even Press J Poke, I think he figured out the status glitch, so those guys that ran this way back when kind of laid down the foundation, and I just kind of expanded a bit on it with coming up with manipulations and such. But this chart was already made by Nanagith. Like this is none of my doing right here. I had more to do with finding the audio cues in the Cave of Fire to precisely land where you want to on that floor 8 of the Cave of Fire.
7, 5.
And you might hear Toad spouting out some random numbers. Don't pay any attention. He's just doing algebra in his head.
That was okay.
Trying to optimize the experience grind here.
Some are 50-50, unfortunately, whether you get the right one or not.
Yeah. Especially if you get off of the 8-packs. Like ideally, you want to come out of the cave and hit an 8-pack, and then after that, you just want to chain it into all 8-packs until the very last one, which is probably like a 4-pack or something.
That's good. I guessed poorly.
Yeah, this 3-pack is probably a 50-50 guess. The charts are not exactly accurate unless you're only dealing with 8-packs, but not everything is known about the smaller packs.
6 undead, not bad there. 30 and 7 is what I'm looking for now.
And again, we're trying to get 400 experience onto the ranger so that he can hit level 5. Usually around 350 or so, you start heading up towards the town of Yu, and he's gonna need to pick up the pray command in there. There's this weird hidden second menu.
There we go.
That allows you to pray, and that is required to beat the game. And it looks like we're back on track here. We've got a nice 8-pack of undead for another juicy 32 experience.
It's the best, man. 8 experience bonus every time is so important if you're going for the record in this game. Need a 5 here.
Yeah.
4, 5.
And Toad has a really good time in this game. He's got a the only other sub 27. He's got a 26-25, I believe. And that's not too far off of my 2601, and really it's just a matter of luck. That 24 seconds can just be attributed towards luck and wind, and
ship wind is a big one.
Goblins or undead. It's just some of the stuff is just out of your control.
Right, we need 14 here. Oops.
I'm pretty sure a sub 26 will come up one of these days. From someone. And he's ignoring all these treasure chests. We don't really need gold in the run.
No, not at all.
Gold in this game is mostly used to buy stats, which we don't need for the speedrun. But in old versions of this route, you could recruit a bunch of roster at the start of the game and like steal their gold, and then just kick them out of the party, you know. So bring in 3 guys, get 300 gold, kick them out. Bring in 3 more guys, get 300 gold, kick them out. And you could use that to grind a bunch of gold and buy the rot spell. And that was kind of a way to get through the Cave of Fire in the past, to get through the powerful enemies in there.
Oh, jeez.
Because money gives you stats, and int on the wizards teaches them new spells. By the way, the stats on all of these characters. The ranger needs 25 int and 25 wisdom so that he maxes his mana at 12, because he is going to have to shoot some missiles eventually. And the wizards all have 25 int, and then their other 25 stats don't matter. Every character gets 50 stats that you can put wherever you want.
3. If I can get it.
The wizards need that int. The int gives them the 25 mana, and then the other stat is usually strength, just in case you have to like beat down some pirates or something.
After this, I only need 14 more experience, so hopefully one more fight. But we're going to go get the pray command now. Yep, we were going to get the pray command.
Also in this town is the silver horn, which is not needed anymore. Basically, you used to have to just take your ship, and with the mark of the snake and the silver horn, you can go in the front door of Castle Exodus, and that's kind of like the intended way to get in there. But there's another way that we'll see in a little bit, a little more sneaky way through the back, and we'll see that later. But Toad does have the Mark of Fire and the Mark of Force on everyone. The other marks are the Mark of the Snake, which gets you into the front door of Castle Exodus, which is the final dungeon. And the Mark of the Kings kind of increases your max level, but level in this game is pretty useless. It just gives you max health, which does not help. And there was the pray command.
Yeah, you talk to him, he gives you the pray command, which is on a secret command. Oh, for God's sakes.
Getting a...
Way more experience than he needs.
Blank attack right out of that cave. Yeah, that's why you kind of want to enter the town at around 350.
350. Yeah, I went up at 346, and then 3 enemies are right next to us.
380 or so, but...
Yeah.
The 2 marks that Toad currently has will make him immune to lava and force fields, so he can just walk over those tiles without taking damage. Otherwise, it's too much damage to deal with. You can't heal through it in any kind of speedy manner. And you see here he goes into the menus for a status glitch because that mob was kind of in his way, so we're just gonna freeze him in place. And on the overworld, the status glitch doesn't last for very long, only a couple seconds, so that's why he's going in for a couple of status glitches there to kind of freeze that guy in place. And we'll see more of that status glitch in Ambrosia.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way, old man. We don't have time for this.
Look at me, I'm standing on the king.
This is amazing.
No, old man. I don't know if he can leave that room, actually. You might need to let him out. I'm not sure.
What is that? Like...
Oh, he can leave the room. There we go. Yeah, that old man right there is very, very trolly. He can do that. He can stand on the king, and if he's standing on the king and you try to talk to the king, you'll talk to the old man instead. He takes precedence over the king. That is trolly old man. And so by talking to the king there, Toad got level 5 on his ranger. You don't level up as you go. You have to go talk to the king to gain your level. And after a quick save and reset, that will reset the RNG of the game, and he's going to take 2 steps before leaving the town, and that will set us up perfectly here. You used to have to like find this ship, and it was somewhere in the world, but found this 2-step manipulation on leaving the town that just makes the ship and the whirlpool just appear right here. And with a couple of casts of flame on the wizards, that single pirate will go down, and that single pirate was caused by mashing the moons so that the right moon was full, exactly, and then taking 1 step into the pirate. That's all manipulated as well, so hopefully throughout the run we'll only see single pirates, because for every extra pirate that you get, it takes probably an extra minute of game time, so you only ever want to see 1 pirate at a time.
No, that's also why we get strength on the wizards, in case you get extra pirates. They will actually flex the pirates pretty hard. Melee-wise. I mean, 7.
For safety, the druid leader is, for safety, for those safety reasons, a bit better, but I mean, you should be fine with the ranger as well, because the ranger cannot have strength at all, because he needs the mana more importantly.
That he does.
And Toad is now making his way through Ambrosia here. There's 4 shrines here in Ambrosia, pretty much 1 in each quadrant of the map. And we have to pick up the 4 cards. We need those 4 cards to defeat Exodus. And I guess I'd never really talked about the whole point of the game is to defeat Exodus. And basically Exodus is a creation from the first 2 villains from Ultima 1 and 2, Mondain and Minac. The Mondain the wizard and Minac the sorceress. So when a wizard and a sorceress love each other very much, they get together
Good lord.
And they create this demon computer baby creature called Exodus, and he's gonna. This computer is about to cause havoc in the world, and we need to go stop him right now. Oh, Toad's coming up to an interesting glitch here. So the game doesn't really handle sprites on top of each other very well. And see there, he wiggled back and forth on those two tiles and brought the ship that you can ride above the pirate ship that you have to fight. And when that happens, you just walk right on and say, see ya. See ya to those pirates. You don't have to fight them at all.
No time for no pirates.
So yeah, there's a lot of nice glitches.
These are also the shrines where you dump your gold to actually get stat boosts, but who needs them?
Oh yeah, that's very important for a normal playthrough.
Actually, it's very important for a normal playthrough. Also very important, don't have any melee at all.
Yeah, wizards are king in this game. There's no balance in this game at all. Wizards are at about 100 and thief class is like -10. There's absolutely no balance. Okay, so that's the second card for Toad, and he's also keeping count here of the extra steps in Ambrosia. That'll be useful to manipulating another single pirate fight later.
Let's hope we don't screw that up. Should be at 9 right now. Also, we're praying that when we come back out of Ambrosia, that there are no enemies immediately next to the ship, because that will lead to bad things. As in, I have to do Ambrosia all over again.
Yeah, I mean, with your mashing skills, you might be able to just them.
Hopefully, status or talk to them by accident.
Here we go into the third shrine. Gonna pick up another card. The cards of love, sun, moons, and death are what we have up here, and those are needed to start the final sequence of the game.
Computer punch
kind
cards.
Of like power down Exodus, basically. Punch card, basically.
Alright, this is when the status glitch actually is going to come in handy. Oops.
Yep, the status glitch, you see him going into the status, and
that was +4 on my steps.
Yep, that's a +4.
Don't know why I went that way. That actually doesn't matter at all, as long as I can keep my step counter.
Yeah, as long as you keep track of extra steps, you can fix it later. Because later on we'll have a we have to get it to a 38 count, and we can do that with either steps or pushes of the B button. So he can just hit B button less later on and get the same result.
Got
And you saw him status glitch, Toad status glitch there, and what that does is you go into the status menu and then hit BA, and as it's canceling out, you hold on the D-pad in the direction you want to walk, and then you just never let go of the D-pad, and this will freeze every single enemy in Ambrosia. So usually there's enemies down here in the southwest quadrant where he is right now, but no, you won't see any as long as everything goes correctly. They're all frozen up somewhere, or you don't really walk by them. I'll let Toad think right here.
Okay, go ahead. That was a successful counting of 38 steps.
Nice.
So we only have one pirate.
Beautiful one pirate fight. Now in the old days, this used to just be completely luck based, and if you were lucky, you would get like 3 or less pirates on all 3 fights. And getting 3 or less on all 3 fights was incredibly rare. You could do like 1,000 runs, and maybe in a couple of them you would get maybe like a 3-3-1 or something. But nowadays it's always one pirate.
The lone pope.
On all 3 of the pirate fights. And he's headed to the 4th shrine here.
No Kraken today.
Yeah, Toad learned about the dangers of that Kraken in the Best of Ness race, which was recently.
I'm just hoping for the... I'm gonna get out here and save, because then I'll be fine.
Yeah, as soon as we get out of Ambrosia and get back to the castle, we're completely safe. Won't have to do
end runs, yeah. No more Ambrosia.
all of Ambrosia over again by some freak accident. But the most dangerous part is leaving Ambrosia through the whirlpool, because you'll probably end up with something random. Since we're not really going for the
I'm at +2.
fastest strat possible.
So if I go 3, 4, and then 5, I should have the Sea Serpent where he should be. And I should be able to status glitch just in case. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it looks like he left on a 5 count, so it's pretty known what this map of the overworld was going to be as he left. So I think that's why he went for that, because it's kind of a familiar seed.
I know that the Serpent's going to be on the left and there's going to be a guy to the south, but nobody in the immediate vicinity of where I went into Ambrosia, so I was safe where I was.
Yep, and we're going to take a little save and reset here for some more manipulation. And now earlier I mentioned that usually you need the Mark of the Snake and the Silver Horn to enter the final dungeon, which is where Toad is headed now. But using some sneaky manipulation here, he's gonna take a bunch of steps before we leave town here. Precisely 98 extra steps. And it depends on which tile you saved at the end, of course.
And only 2 at the top here since it was bottom save. It's 1 extra step for bottom save.
I usually have a 10 tile gap that I walk in between and go 10, 20, 30, 40, but Toad has this visual cue in the upper left-hand corner of the map that is exactly 98 steps. And there's lower right, guys, so this is the right seed for sure.
Lower right guy is the savior that we all hope to have.
Once you see him,
that's good. That's good.
You know you're on the right track here, and you'll be able to see here in a second what I was talking about. Why didn't we get the Mark of the Snake and the Silver Horn? I need some status glitching here.
Yeah, we good.
Or not. Oof, that was pretty.
It was scary.
Pretty sketchy, Toad, but he made it through. Fortunately, if he got attacked there, I mean, it would just be a quick reset, and
yeah,
he would be right back.
Yeah.
Pretty shortly. And now we're gonna use the moons to warp around the world.
Thank goodness.
And look where we end up. Castle Exodus Moat. And this pirate ship right here can actually spawn anywhere in the world and on any water tile in the world. But by leaving the town on the 98th step, Toad forced the pirate ship to spawn in the moat. And now it's just a matter of forcing a 1 pirate fight, killing him, and then using the ship as a bridge through the moat into Castle Exodus. No need for the Mark of the Snake, no need for the Silver Horn. It's easy every time.
It's actually pretty
this run is really cool. This is my favorite Ultima run on the NES by far. It's pretty short and it's very technical, and after the first 2 minutes it's not too hard either.
Actually, as a child, I accidentally spawned the ship in the moat once, and I got in here, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, and it just destroyed me. I had no marks, I had nothing. I wondered why the dragons hurt so hard.
Yeah, these dragons, of course, Toad is still level 5 on the Ranger and level 1 on the Wizard. So those dragons are not beatable. All the Wizards have are basically Magic Missile and Flame takes all of their mana, and Magic Missile costs 5, so those dragons are pretty much unbeatable unless you have high-level spells, which you need 75 mana for. And of course, we still have the base mana from the start of the game. They're all level 1, and we're actually fighting the floors here. Floors up here is there's
floor.
There's 8 of them, and as kind of like a final boss, that they're killable by these level 1 wizards with their level 1 magic missile, which is really kind of funny that this whole run is possible with such low characters.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd.
I think there was rumor that in the original on DOS or something, they literally ran out of memory and couldn't fit another sprite in. So
So you get to fight the floor.
They had to do something about it.
They wouldn't take another enemy out of the game. No, they'll screw up the last boss by making you fight the floor. It's so silly. There's a perfect setup for this final fight, by the way.
Yeah, this is the same fight every time. And looks like Toad is just standing here, but he's actually mashing the V button to gain his mana back. And the dragons were pretty nice there and didn't come up.
Yeah, I mashed a
but
little
with
extra.
Toad's mashing though, it doesn't matter even if they come up. He'll get the full mana before they come up. So.
And then you get to execute the fight again, exactly the same way. Twice left with the ranger, and then you just position and missile upwards. That's the whole fight. 2 missiles from any of these guys will kill any of the floor pieces. And you have just the amount of magic for this fight to do it.
Yep, you actually don't have to mash to full mana. If you can kind of time it to a little less than full, you're still okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're just playing it safe here, though. Hopefully, and I do mean hopefully, Castle Exodus. Castle Exodus at the end of this game, we're gonna have an escape sequence coming up here in a second. And what can happen is that the ceiling starts to fall in, or the castle just starts caving in on itself, and it can block your path, and you can essentially get blocked off from winning. So we're trying to avoid that as much as we can.
Yeah, this escape sequence is only in the NES version. I don't believe that this is part of the original DOS version or whatnot, or any of the PC versions.
I think you just put in the
but
punch
put the cards in the right order, and comes the escape sequence.
All right, White Hat, grab that on. Let's get the heck out of here.
Cross your fingers.
Cross your fingers, everyone.
Get some bless RNGs into the chat. Toad is not very lucky on this part.
Oh god, it's already starting. Come on.
Yeah, these rocks are just completely random.
I'll do it.
And they can, if you get 2 rocks, they can block a 2-tile wide hallway.
Don't do it, game. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. We're live on RPG.
Easing through barely, but there's a lot of
god.
1-tile rocks already.
Okay, I think we're good. And time.
Yeah, once you get to the 3-tile hallway, it's pretty much good to go. I don't think I've ever seen 3 rocks block the final hallway, but they will definitely block the 2-tile wide hallways. So
Don't
GG, Toad.
Thank you. It's so scary leaving the end there. At best of NES, I got blocked immediately going out to the right, and I went back left, and they blocked me again right away, and I was just stuck there at the end.
Really nice run. It looks like a 30-15, even with a couple resets, so that's probably more like a 28-15 or so.
I'll take it. That's pretty solid.
Good.
That's a fine marathon run right there. Thank you all for the GGs, and thank you for the commentary. It really helps. This game needs co-commentary.
Yeah, a lot of technical stuff, a lot of math, a lot of counting, and keeping track of things. I use a BA35 solar calculator for the run just to keep track of the experience. Only.
I have notes for no other games that I've ever ran. In this game, I have the pace bin with the enemy encounters, and I have a notepad that's just full of notes on the final fight. You know, which there's 7 rounds in the final fight, which moves you have to do, the order of the cards, how many steps you do before you hit Ambrosia, in Ambrosia, and after Ambrosia. Like, what I did here was the backup save. In the real run, you wouldn't actually save after leaving Ambrosia. You'd want to get the moon to a certain crescent, go into town, take 15 steps, or 16 steps, and then leave town, and then just go straight to the end with no backup save. So it's really scary to do the actual strats for this game. But thankfully there's a backup for marathons and such.
This is a real cool technical run. And there are notes. I have a Google Doc. If anybody is interested in picking this up, I think Toad learned this run in about 3 hours. So really, only the first couple minutes of the game is tricky, and then after that, it's just follow the route, and it's easy peasy usually, unless you get unlucky.
Yeah, it's learning audio cues, which are pretty tight, and then it's learning the monster encounter chart, which is probably the hardest thing in this game. It's insane. You're just looking at a chart with a bunch of asterisks and numbers. And so you're looking at it, it's all foreign. I when I first looked at this, when I saw Yogi run it years ago, I just didn't understand what the heck he was looking at. Like, I watched him do it as he's like shouting numbers out, and I didn't understand. I had to actually play the game to understand what was going on. But it's just simply monster positioning and what monsters are left after the initial repel or undead killing spell. It's an interesting run. I like it a lot. But now we're ready for the main event. Who wouldn't be hype? Who wouldn't be hype for some Idolide?
Everybody get hype right now.
The game where the practice doesn't matter. Once you learn it, it's just RNG, baby.
Alright, I'm gonna head out. Thanks for having me, Toad. It was fun.
No problem. Thank you so much for the co-commentary. I really appreciate it.
Good luck on maybe the best game of this entire marathon.